We are back for a Tuesday morning episode of NBL now. We've been starved of NBL action, but it returns tomorrow night when we watch New Zealand and the Sydney Kings take on each other over the ditch. Today, though, we're going to be breaking down the New Zealand Breakers in their first 10 rounds of the season. I'm Kelsey Browne joining you today with Cam Gliddon. Cam, welcome into this one.
Thank you, Kelsey. Thanks for having me.
I'm very excited to talk to you about the Breakers. You are in the four walls. You know what's going on. You courtside for us in commentary. You've got all of the details. So let's take a look at the Breakers in their first 10 rounds. Let's talk about what you liked first and foremost.
Yeah, I guess starting with personnel, I really love when the Breakers go to Isaiah Brockington to start the game. I think he's so dynamic and it gets him off to the right speed, the right pace, and the ball starts getting through your hands. So to start with, I love what Isaiah Brockington's doing. Number two is Sam Menenga's improvement. I think this year has really been his breakout year, and I think everyone can see that. He's finally come into himself and very comfortable out there on the floor and dominating his opponent, usually game in, game out. And lastly, I think the improvement, I guess, as well of Rob Baker. You know, he started off this year kind of slow, trying to get his footing right. But I think the last few games, they figured out how to use him the best, you know, starting at the four, letting him shoot those pick and pops and those transition threes and helping space out the floor. So I like where Rob Baker's at as well. But for the team, I think just it's been a huge off-season for them with the change of ownership, a lot of new coaches coming in, an overhaul of the team. And I think just the trajectory of where they're sitting right now and what I feel could possibly happen these next 10 to 12 games, whatever's left, I think that's what I like right now is like the optimism of where this thing could go. And I think they probably feel it too, especially after this Tall Blacks window about how they can build and really finish the season strong.
I've been really impressed with the Breakers some games this season. They come out and absolutely dominate, but it probably doesn't reflect where they are on the ladder. They're seventh. They've played 15 games, won 5, lost 10.
Mm-hmm.
What needs to change in the second half to really sort of switch that on the ladder?
Yeah, no, it's a great point. And I agree with you. Sometimes I watch them and they are a dominant team that could hang with anyone in a comp. And then there's times, and it's even just short patches, where the wheels truly fall off and these leads they can build or this game that's very even suddenly turns into a blowout on the opposite side of them. So I think what needs to change is them just becoming comfortable kind of in the grind when those games aren't necessarily going their way. They can still keep the scoreboard respectable, and then when it's their turn to have a run, they can you know, get that lead back. But it seems at the moment when the other team goes on a little run, the wheels can sort of fall off, like I mentioned. So what I'm looking to see change is just a collective buy-in as to enjoying the grind, enjoying that basketball is a game of runs and your turn will come and just staying in the fight.
Do you think it's a mental panic when they sort of get into that, or is it more they don't feel like they've got the personnel? What do you think it is?
I think panic's sort of a good word for it, but I think it's more just the maturity of the guys, and they've got a lot of young guys coming through, and that stuff and learning how to win, it takes time. I think, you know, you build your team in the preseason and everyone's got the goal of winning a championship, but there are steps to it and there's a process to it. And I think they have a lot of guys that are new to this league, a lot of guys that are, you know, played their NBL careers, but now they're jumped up as a level. And this stuff takes time. And I think, like I said earlier, I think the second half of the season will be very telling about what that first half has meant. Have they learned lessons? Have they built? Have they figured out what they want to do as a team and what their identity is going to be? And I think if they have, which they've been through a lot of trials, I think we'll see the best of them the second half of the year.
That's an amazing way to explain sport. You've got to really learn how to win sometimes. And I think New Zealand are finding their feet with that, but maybe it's just a few more wins under their belt and they'll really get that identity. Most improved player for you?
Yeah, easy one. I think Sam Menenga, and I think the whole analyst panel is talking about how he's probably the front runner for the award at the end of the year. He seems to have figured it out. Basketball, you can have all the skills, you can have the athleticism, but you got to put it into work and you got to make it work with the four guys around you. And I think he's finally figured out when to go, when to not, when it's his turn, when it's not his turn. And yeah, he's putting together quite a good season. I'm looking this second half of the year as he becomes kind of the focal point to stop by the opposition, how he kind of maintains his level of kind of aggression on the game and his decision making. Is he going to force shots or is he going to make the right pass? That's the questions that remain unanswered going into this second half.
Just a quick one off that. How did Sam Menenga get things to finally click? Was there plenty of work in the off season? Have you watched him sort of develop his preparation?
Oh, I'd be lying if I said I've been watching him closely, but I know he's a guy that takes this stuff seriously and he's very professional and diligent about the way he works. I think there's a lot of talent in this league, and you have to be given the opportunity to fail in order to do what he's doing. And I think starting in Cairns, going over there and then not having it work out exactly right for him last year with the Breakers, not having a consistent year, but the team still backing him to be a cornerstone of the franchise, like that says a lot about who he is. Says a lot to him, I'm sure, about who the team need him to be. And I think it's just coming to fruition now, but I don't see it stopping. Like I see him, or I expect him to just keep getting better and better. It shouldn't be he's hit the ceiling yet because I don't think he's there.
That moves us on to team MVP then. And I think it probably is pretty obvious, but why? Why is it PJC?
No, I think so. I think he's just, in my opinion, and I'm not a point guard, but so I'm not being biased here, but the point guard's the most important position on the court. And when your point guard's as dynamic and has such a, the game's in his hands. If you win or lose, sometimes you feel like it's up to PJC if they win or lose. He's got that sort of pressure on him, and I feel like he always lives up to it. He might not hit the shot, he might not make the right decision all the time, but he always plays his heart out, and that's why the Breakers fan base love him. And I think he will continue to be the MVP for this team. If they want to get to where they need to go, he needs to be the man.
He's come into the league and he's become one of our favorites, not just because of what he produces on court, but also just who he is. I feel like he brings a massive flair to the league on personality and just being yourself. And I love that about PJC. So my MVP for off the court. Who needs to step up for the Breakers?
Yeah, it's a tough one. For me, and this is, I say with all respect, is like Isaiah Liafa, just because I know how good he is. I played with him at Southeast. I played with him at the Breakers. I know how rare it is to have a guy that can defend the way he can. But I think sometimes he will focus on his defensive assignment and forget how good he is down the other end. Like, he can shoot the ball really well. He can get in the lane and create for others. And I think sometimes he locks into his defensive assignment and doesn't realize how good he is at the other end and how much of a difference maker he can be. So I'm looking for Isaiah to be way more aggressive offensively this second half of the year, because it's only going to make his minutes on the court and those 5 on the court way better if he is that way.
When Liafa is up and going, he's a massive cog for the Breakers and someone that they really need. Okay, we've got the last 2 questions. One of my favorites is finishing prediction. Now, this one is a little bit harder for the Breakers because they've got plenty of time to recover this tough start to the season. Like I said, only 5 wins sitting there at the moment. They're currently 7th. Where do you have them finishing? Do they make the play-ins?
Oh, I think so. I have them finishing 5th. And it goes back to what I said earlier, is the first half of the season, definitely very important. I mean, everyone will trade places with United if they could. But I think the lessons you learn in that first half, and then you get a week off, really marinate in what you need to do better. And I think they've probably learned the most lessons out of every team, bar probably Illawarra. So I think if they have the right approach to it, I think there's only room to get better. but they definitely have to take care of home court. So I think they dropped too many home games this year. Sorry, to start the year. If they take care of home court and can sneak a couple on the road, I think 5th place is a pretty fair goal for them.
So who do they knock out? Just a quick one.
Great question. No, it's tough. It's really tough because you see Delhi getting injured for Sydney, but then they come away and have a huge win, and I thought it would kind of go the other way. So I'm definitely not a man that places bets. Definitely not. But I don't know. Maybe Tassie. Maybe Tassie may fall. Never should bet against the Jack Jumpers, but maybe they may fall. But yeah, a lot of other things have to go a certain way for this to happen. I just see them having tremendous upside, and I don't think they've shown the best that they've got. So my optimism stays with them being a top 16.
Love it. And Tassie's been struggling to own home court as well. So if either of those can get it going, New Zealand finishing 5th is a big one for you. All right, lastly, their report card. Where do you have them? We've seen some brutal reviews. We've seen some really positive ones. Where do we have New Zealand sitting on the report card?
Yeah, I guess for me, I'll just go by their standings. Like you said, they're 5-10. They're 1 game out of the finals, so just below kind of the average pass. So I'll give them a C- as to right now. But like I said, I expect big things this second half of the year. I'm sure they're very driven and ready to, right their wrongs. And, I think this franchise, the history they have during the 2010s, they pride themselves on success. They're not just trying to make up numbers. They wouldn't be happy with where they sit right now. They would want to improve. So I only see fit to give them a score that they can take on the chin and only get better from.
And I think if you asked anyone inside the 4 walls as well, they would probably say they've been below par to start this season. So I don't think that is a too brutal review. C- for New Zealand Breakers. Lastly, quick one. We see NBL return on Wednesday night. New Zealand take on the Sydney Kings. Then on Thursday night, we've got a massive doubleheader. Illawarra, Southeast Melbourne, and then Perth and United. Give me your predictions for New Zealand and Sydney. Do you think New Zealand start their second part of the season with a really strong win?
I think they need to. Like we talked about, they have to take care of home base. They're up in Hamilton, a regional game. They're going to want to put it on for the fans there. And I think if they want to go where they need to go, they need to win their home games and they need to beat the teams that are above them. And this is a perfect opportunity for them to do so.
As always, Cam Gliddon, love sitting down with you and talking all things hoops. We hope you have enjoyed this episode of NBL Now, brought to you by Code Sports. You can head to codesports.com.au to check out all of the exclusive insights, insider access, and everything that you need to know about the NBL and basketball in Australia. Thanks for joining us. As always, enjoy yourself and enjoy the hoops as we return to the NBL.